Uh-oh, I left the overlay on, Mike. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I'm joined, as always, with Mike. What's going on, man?
Nothing, and we forgive you for leaving the overlay up.
Sorry, I was just sitting here like zoned out for a second, and I didn't hit the button, so that was on me, guys. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm hoping that you're having a great evening whenever you're checking us out. We're going to be talking about the season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix tonight. We're going to be having a pretty in-depth conversation about the details that we like, stuff that we don't like, maybe some changes that we would think would make it better, and maybe some of the things that people are upset about. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. And this is your fair spoiler warning, I guess. I'll get that out of the way. It's only been a week since it's been out, but we finished the whole season, so we're going to talk about the whole season. If for some reason you haven't seen it yet, go watch it and then come back to us. If you don't mind being spoiled, or if you have seen it, join us for the conversation. It should be a fun one. I don't think I need to give any further info about the Avatar stuff, just because we did that on the last episode. And this is sort of a follow-up. The previous episode was a worth the watch, and we both concluded that it was worth the watch. Now we're going to tell you what our ratings for the whole season are, and a lot of other fun stuff. But I guess we could probably start at second impressions, because we already did first impressions, sort of. But maybe overall thoughts about what you thought about the season as a whole, Mike. What are your thoughts about the season?
Personally, since I wasn't a huge groupie for the original content, but I did like it, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I got emotional at the emotional parts. You know, I didn't shed a tear or anything, but I was like, oh man, that hits me right in the feels. You know, every time he talks about his mentor, hit me right in the feels.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like, I can understand how he feel that way.
yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. I mean,
Good.
I've heard people have different feelings about it, but I think they're just those are those people who just can never be satisfied.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to talk about what those critiques are, because maybe we can find some common ground here. But I would agree with you, actually. I enjoyed this too. I really love the animated series. I think a lot of people do. Maybe that's why they feel protective over it. But I was actually pretty surprised about what they did with the entire season, how they sort of they took some creative liberties. They kind of mashed a couple storylines together here and there, but I don't think that it
Mhm.
was detrimental, except for one instance, and that's just a very personal preference of mine, which
Mhm.
we'll talk about soon enough. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think if I have any critiques, it's I just think that the casting for Aang and Katara is super weak. I
Why you
think
say that?
I just don't feel they're I feel like they're both kind of wooden, and maybe it's that they're written that way, but Aang and Katara in the series are much more animated, much more Katara's got a lot of conviction, she's very principled, she's very sort of like headstrong, and Aang is much more
He's goofy,
pleasant. He's goofy, but he's playful in a very wise way. He also like
right?
drops a whole lot of wisdom while he's being goofy.
Mhm.
And I just don't know if Aang and Katara are really the best representations in the show for me.
Well,
So
to
that
be fair, that's part
Mhm.
of what the buzz is on the internet. That's kind of part
Oh,
of it
okay.
right there.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe you can enlighten us about that. What is the general temperature about this remake?
Most of the people that I've seen review it, most of them have said it's kind of like mid to bad. They didn't like it,
Mm,
and it mostly centers around some of those changes, like you pointed out, to the characters. But I think that's because people are real stands for Avatar. You
yeah.
know, it has to be a certain kind of like I don't even want to say the way that people are with Marvel movies, because people are critiquing the Marvel movies, and they're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Right.
They're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Most of the complaints about what's going on in the state of our superhero movies is absolutely correct. People who like it are probably being paid, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
With this though, it's like I can understand the frustration in some of the critiques. For instance, um, Sokka and Katara's back and forth is more. Originally it was more of a misogynistic thing where he was always telling her she can't do certain things because she's a girl and she's too weak and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
That was a driving thing. People are upset that they've taken that out in the live action remake, and I can actually understand why they feel that way because the reason they say that it's a problem for them to take it out is because his behavior towards her is what fuels her to strive to be stronger and eventually become a water bending master.
Mhm.
um it's a combination of that, and then what we see in this season where she goes to the Northern Water Temple tribe and she fights an actual master waterbender. It fuels and culminates into that moment where she is vindicated for all their you know jabs at her for being a girl and being weak, and she can
Mhm.
show like, no, look at what I can do. And it's like, yeah, yeah, see, I can do it too.
Right. Y
And people
Yeah.
have critiqued the live action that they took that out of Sokka's character. He doesn't really jab at her, and he doesn't push her to be better in the same way that makes her emotionally stronger as a character. Eventually, she doesn't get her version of her hero's journey through him. That was a motivation for her in the her cartoon, because in the cartoon, he was ragging on her all the time.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the cartoon I was watching. I watched a few of the first episodes of the first book, just leading up into this, but I do remember Sokka being a little bit more the older brother and sort of giving her a hard time, and that's fine. I think it works. I mean, I don't know what people could really complain about. It One of the first lines he has to her is that she shouldn't be focused on being a warrior. She needs to stay in the village and take care of, like womanly duties.
Right.
Um, so I mean, like, if he needs to say that every episode, then maybe they have a point, but I think he kind of does that already. And I was surprised about how stern he was in a way that she actually submitted to in the beginning.
Mhm.
She, like he's nobody really takes Sokka seriously in the animated show until a little bit later once he actually becomes a little bit more mature. But in the
Right.
beginning, everybody thinks he's a boob. um,
Right.
I kind of liked in the live action that while they were paddling and they find Aang, he kind of checks her a little bit about, her position and his position within the village, and she totally accepts that. Um, so I don't know. I mean, like, I guess you could look at that and say, oh well, this is like I guess what they're probably saying is this is a Mary Sue character or something. um, but I don't know if that's 100% true, honestly. Like, I think people are just so sensitive about the phenomenon of bad writing that we've sort of labeled quote unquote woke, which
Right.
does exist. It's not like it doesn't exist. I know that it does, but I think people are so sensitive to, like, whenever there's a dynamic in which, like, like, there might be a slightest suggestion that there's this sort of politic in it, then everybody freaks out.
Right.
um I don't know if that's necessarily needed in this. Actually, what I found really refreshing about this series in particular is that I couldn't detect anything more overt than, and this is probably something that they didn't even pick up. But in the the Kyoshi Island episode, there was a mural of Avatar Kyoshi, and the line wrote underneath, or the caption that they wrote underneath the mural of Avatar Kyoshi is, um, "Peace through," or no, wait, "Justice through peace," or "Peace through justice," or something like that. Which is a direct, like a hint at the mantra "No justice, no peace."
Right.
I guarantee you none of them pick pointed that out, but they all get really upset because Sokka doesn't denigrate Katara enough. Like I don't
I
know,
mean,
like
that
yeah,
seemed to be like the biggest problem that I came across that people had
yeah,
because
yeah.
like I said, it fuels her to become better.
It does.
And I
Yeah,
get that. I get
yeah,
it.
I do too.
I just don't think it's absolutely necessary either.
I don't think it's necessary at all either because kind of Katara doesn't really I don't think Katara really blossoms until she gets into the 2nd and 3rd book.
Yeah.
None of the characters really do, in my
No.
opinion. It's like they don't really get to the point where they should be until towards the end. When Katara learns bloodbending, that's when I consider her a master. Like when she invents bloodbending, that's when I'm like, okay, this is like where she's at the peak of her power. But it's still a ways until that. So
Right. And I got no disagreement for you there. We
yeah,
absolutely agree on that because
yeah,
I don't, like I said, it's just these people who just can't be happy about
yeah.
anything. If it's not exactly the way they remembered it in their childhood, because like I said before, when this came out, I was already a grown man,
Right, right. Yeah,
so my view on it is a little different. I was already an adult when I first watched it,
right.
and when it first came out, I was an adult. But when I actually watched it, I was even older by then because I didn't
Mhm.
watch it right away.
Yeah.
Um, so their feelings about it, that one aspect is, while it has some validity to it, I think it's just people nitpicking,
I
and
think
that's what
so.
it kind of comes down to.
Yeah.
Is the writing bad? Not really. Like I
No.
said, my biggest issues were the choreography for the fight scenes. I thought that was a little poor. I
Yeah.
thought they could have did that a little bit better. You had an issue with the CGI. I don't disagree with that at all.
Mhm.
you know, so I mean, they had a few other issues. I can't think of what it was off the top of my head. Um, oh, oh yeah, one of the critiques I do remember was Aang isn't as playful as he needs to be because
I think
this
I
Aang
agree
is
with
very serious, and
yes,
the
for
original
sure.
Aang he was a little kid. He's 12.
Mhm.
He
Yes.
acts like a 12-year-old. He wants to play. He doesn't want to go work and become the Avatar. He wanted to
Mhm.
hang out with his friends and have a good time.
Yes,
Valid,
and ride, penguin otters or whatever. Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah, no,
all valid.
it is valid.
But
That is valid. And I think that that's one of my critiques for the Aang character. I think that it probably is the writing. Maybe the kid who acts as Aang is capable of being that, but I think that they did write him a little bit too seriously. There's no need for him. He's supposed to be the laughing Buddha, which is like this very joyous, light character that comes off as unserious, but then drops like serious wisdom within the play. Um, all of his goofiness and play has like a deeper philosophical meaning behind it. So I do think that it was kind of a missed opportunity not to explore that aspect of the character for
right,
sure. But yeah, Katara is fine. I just don't think that she's a very good actress. Maybe she is. Maybe it is the writing again. But I just find Aang and Katara's reactions and acting a little bit stiff, and sort of it could be that they were doing a lot of green screen acting, and it's hard to respond to fireballs flying in the air when they're not there. So maybe that's a little bit of it as well. But I did find that those
maybe.
two, as actors, were just a little bit too stiff for my liking.
Eh, you know
Yeah.
what? I didn't really take any particular issue with the acting.
Hmm.
Um, I did find it funny. I believe it's uh, Commander Zhao, the guy who
Admiral.
plays him, the actor Admiral Zhao, the
Hmm.
guy who plays him. I believe the funny anecdote with him was that when he originally auditioned for it, he thought he was auditioning for Blue Avatar.
Yes, I saw that article. Yeah. Yeah, he thought he was gonna be in the James Cameron Avatar, yeah.
Yeah.
How bummed was he? Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, let's go through the episodes that we didn't discuss. We already talked about episode 1 and 2, so I wrote down all of the episodes here, and we can make, little comments about it, and then we can give our overall impressions and our reviews. Um, so the where we left off is Omashu was episode 3, and it's news of a traitor puts the trio at odds in Omashu, where a mechanist and rebels with a charming leader muddle the plans to protect the Earth Kingdom. Um, and so this is actually the first episode where I realized, oh, I understand why I think the creators left, because they smashed 3 different plot lines in the Omashu. Um, that I think were probably fine, but I was a little bit jarred by it. So you have Jet in Omashu, you have King Boomy, which is its own storyline, and then you have the Northern Air Temple people who create flying machines, and those are all there in episode 3 of Omashu. So I definitely felt like, oh my gosh, look at all of this stuff that's happening. But I don't think that they did that too badly. I was a little bit worried in episode 3 that we weren't going to get the King Boomy storyline, but I'm glad that they did that in episode 4.
Yeah, they kind of had to.
Yeah, yeah. You
I
can't
mean,
not have King Boomy in there.
right. I was a little surprised that they actually did the face dealer. To be fair,
Yeah,
I didn't think they were going to add that, because I felt like that would have been something they could easily cut out. But the fact that they put that in there kind of threw me for a loop. And I know you were
yes.
happy about it. I don't know if you're
Oh,
happy about
yeah.
the execution.
No, I wasn't. And well, that's in episode 5, so I'll get there. But anything on episode 3? Um,
Let's
That's where you
see.
get the Jet storyline. They kinda mashed that in there too. I don't really like Jet
Yeah,
in the story, so I don't really care that
neither did
much.
I.
Yeah. But he's gonna be coming back anyways, I'm sure, in the next season, so, we'll have to deal with that. Um, alright, episode 4 was, that was Into the Dark. In captivity, Aang meets a king with a taste for games. To find their friend, the siblings must navigate a dark tunnel and put their differences aside. So this was another one that I think was an addition. So in the King Boomy storyline, Katara and Sokka are being enveloped by creeping crystal, and so they're out of commission for that whole episode. So I guess they sort of took from the it's called the Dueling Canyons episode, I think. It's one of them. There was another episode in which they had this story about the dueling sides and the 2 lovers that meet in the mountain and stuff.
Right.
Uh,
You know what? That it's a nice story. So
mm,
I'm kind of glad that they added that in there, because clearly they could have left that out, but it
they
gives it
coulda.
a nice little backstory to the entire city of Omashu.
Yes. And the origin of the earthbenders too, right?
Right.
Because the what are they, badger bears? I
Uh,
forget.
no,
Oh,
Badger
badger
Moles.
moles. Badger moles. Yeah, badger bears. Oh, man. Yeah, the badger
Fair enough.
moles. Yeah, are the original earthbenders, so that's kind of a
Right.
cool. I'm sure we're gonna get more of that with Toph too, because that's how Toph learns her earthbending.
Yeah. I was
Um,
really looking forward to that, because I was like, I knew it wasn't going to be in this book, but I'm really
mhm.
looking forward to that, because she's hilarious to me as a character.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. It's gonna be hard. I hope that they do the right casting for her, 'cause, she's definitely a favorite.
You think they're going to get a short person or a young person?
I think they can't get too young, because if she's, like, super young, I don't know if that's gonna be very believable. Um,
But the character's young. The character's
I
what, like an
know.
8-year-old?
She's the youngest, yeah, she's supposed to be, like, 10, I think, so, yeah, that's gonna be really tough. I don't know how they're gonna cast that at all. It might be a disaster, who knows?
It's probably going to be a little person, just to make it a grown up who still looks like a little kid.
I don't know if they could do that, that might be too jarring. They might just have to go for, like, a 10-year-old kid, um, but she's gonna really have to carry it, because Toph is, like, an over the top type of character, so she's got a lot of work cut out
Well,
for her.
well, as you see, they changed the temperaments of characters, so we'll see.
That's true, that's true. Oh gosh,
But
I
they
would
might
hate.
give her purple hair and a nose ring.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe, yeah. Alright,
She's
so
gonna have she's
yeah.
gonna have her pronouns are gonna be rocks and slide,
Yeah.
or some of
Uh,
this silly crap.
something like that. So episode 5 is Spirited Away. This is where we get the spirit realm. They kind of did a little bit of a mashup with this one as well, where they had the spirit of knowledge pop in when he's really the
Hmm.
guardian of the library. Um,
I thought so.
yeah,
I thought that seemed a little out of place. Okay, but wait,
yeah.
wasn't he still there though in
I
the
don't think
animation?
no, in the animation, it's like a baboon guy that's like that's meditating, and he just keeps oming more loudly anytime Aang tries to talk to him. Him, yeah. So I don't think that the owl is there beginning. He's the one that guards the library in the desert. Um, so yeah, that was okay. There, the it was interesting. I think that kind of introducing Ko without the caveats of what he can do was a mistake for me. I didn't like that
Please
when
elaborate.
when Aang goes to Ko, he's trying to look for his friends, which I don't mind. Like Ko could technically, I guess, abduct Sokka and Katara, even though he doesn't do that. He just steals her face. He doesn't eat you. There's
Right,
no need for him to eat you. But in order for Aang to get there, I understand like there has to be a motivation for that. But Aang engages Ko as if he knows that he's not supposed to show any emotion, but the show never tells us that.
right,
And I think that that was kind of dumb. What they could have done is had him see Gyatso before he saw Ko, and then Gyatso warn him about Ko because Avatar Roku warns him about Ko before. Um, in the animated series, and that's
so
why he
you remember
knows.
all the details that I do not remember.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I had to look it up because I had to make sure that I wasn't missing some, or was missing something, and I just got it wrong. But um, what's interesting about Ko is that you cannot show any type of emotion in front of him, or he'll steal your face. In the
Right,
show, Aang doesn't show any emotion, and he's actually deliberately acting and speaking in a manner that's not conveying any emotion whatsoever. But the show doesn't tell us that that's what he needs to do in order to not get his face stolen. So it's kind of like you just have to know the character, and
right,
then you know why he's talking to him in this manner. But I think they could have done better at that.
right. And they kind of don't really flesh that out enough to where Sokka and Katara getting abducted by him makes it all make that part of his character make sense, because they
Yeah.
just go through this emotional trauma and they don't really, it's not even about a reaction, because he has them in a whole brand new world where they have different reactions and going through different stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and it had absolutely nothing to do with their reaction on faces. So
No, and funny enough, when Ko does take them at the end of their visions, they both scream, which would be enough for him to take their faces.
right,
So that's probably why they didn't have that, because it would have raised the question. Well, if Ko captures, Sokka and Katara, it's not in his mo to just leave them in like a little cocoon to sit. It's
right,
there.
especially with all those villagers.
Yeah, he takes your soul, and that's it. Um, I didn't actually think that they needed that storyline, because the original storyline is that there is a wounded forest spirit, and Aang has to go into a wounded forest spirit that keeps ravaging a village, and Aang has to go into the spirit world to find the forest spirit and calm it down. And
Right,
that's where he runs into Ko. So I don't know why they needed to have the kidnapping of the villagers thing, because that wasn't really necessary. But I guess it raises the stakes.
well, these are the little changes that the fanboys are upset about.
Yeah, and I can get that. Like I like the concept of Ko. I like his character. I love the voice actor who does it. I was watching the scene. It's just got a really great, slinky, sly, almost unnerving voice about him, which is cool. But
Only thing
yeah,
he needed was some slime.
some slime would have been good. Yes, yes, he's very disgusting looking. So, uh, but Aang, then Aang has to go and find Avatar Roku in episode 6.
Mhm.
Um, and he looks for Avatar Roku, gets the information about Ko, but he's in the Fire Nation now, and that's when he gets captured by Commander Zhao, and then you have the Blue Spirit. which
Are we
is
gonna get past
Zuko.
what's her name and
Oh
her
yes, I like her. I forget what her name is though.
I totally can't. I had it on the tip of my tongue just a second ago,
Yeah.
and I was trying to think of what her mount is called.
Yes.
It's a mole something.
I think it was Nyla or something, or the name of her mount. But yes, it's the bounty huntress who has the weird, like, it's a mole, but also a wolverine or a weasel. I don't know, but it's
I don't know.
gigantic. Yeah.
And it has a poisonous tongue that can
Yes, paralyze you.
paralyze.
Yep, yep.
Paralytic tongue. There we go.
I liked her. I thought she was pretty entertaining. I love that she thinks she has a crush on, Iroh.
That is funny.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
Because it
and he
just
doesn't
believes
know how to handle it.
he has no idea how to handle that. Yeah.
I
Uh,
approve that. That can be a thing.
yes, I thought that was really cute. Like, just, just a little bit of a light comedic point. And that makes her a little bit more likable too. Like, what is she doing liking General Iroh?
Right. But then again, he swole up under all them robes.
He is. He's super buff. He's super buff.
So is Boomy though. Well, Boomy's
That's
supposed to
true.
be cut. He's supposed to have like a 12 pack and be swole up. But
Yeah. Yeah.
most of
Uh,
these actors ain't really got that.
no. Do you think they're gonna have that scene for Iroh where he's in the prison doing the pull-ups?
Probably not.
No, I wish they would though. I would be hilarious if that actor is like really diesel underneath that fat. They just put him in a little fat suit, so they have that scene ready.
Or they could just Jason Momoa and put him in a muscle suit.
There you go. I like that. Yes, yes.
And
I
then
like
put a little bench under so he can look like he's doing pull-ups with one arm, looking at
yeah.
the camera like, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I'm looking most forward to. And we got a little bit of that with we should also mention Azula and her storyline starts to pop up around here.
Mhm.
When she summons the lightning, we finally start to get to see like the really OP bending powers, and I like that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Like General Iroh being able to breathe fire. He's the only one that can do that, and that's why they call him the Dragon of the West. I think that's a really cool little building of
Didn't
the lore. Huh?
didn't they have Zuko do that?
Zuko learns how to redirect lightning from
No,
Iroh,
no,
but I don't
no.
think he breathes fire.
Didn't no in this didn't Zuko use fire breath?
Yes, but it was coming out of his hands. Oh, I mean, he might have while he was trying to break through the ice.
Yeah.
I think he might have. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I remember that. That sucks. That should be only a thing that General Iroh can do.
Right.
Um, but
But
see,
when you
huh?
take liberties,
Yeah, when you take liberties, I get it. Yeah. I did like seeing Azula. I don't know. I'm not like 100% sold on her, on the actress. Um, but I think she's fine for now. She doesn't come off as crazy enough for me.
he
Like
doesn't.
Azula is psycho.
Yeah,
Um,
she's definitely a few screws short
yeah.
of a
Yeah.
whole bunch.
A
Um,
whole bunch. Yeah.
is it? This might be a hot take. I probably shouldn't say it, but
Uh-oh. Hot take.
well, once we got to like the second to last episodes and we saw Princess Yue, I
Mhm.
was just looking at all the female characters in this, and I was like, they really didn't try to get the prettiest girls, did they?
Oh, oh. Well, I do have that in my notes about UA. They used the lady from Prey, um, and she was also in Legion.
Didn't
Um,
wait,
huh?
what? Wait, I didn't see Prey.
Okay, yeah, Prey. She was in that, and then she was also in Legion. She was the girl that lives inside that guy. Um, yeah,
I don't
but
remember.
I just don't think that she was a good.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the superhero, uh,
Yeah,
the X-Men. Okay, I was
yeah.
thinking about the stupid Angel movie. That was
Oh,
terrible.
no, no, not that. Yeah. The other Legion.
Right.
Yeah. I
Okay.
I don't think she was a very good pick for Yue, to be honest. Yue needs to look like an angel, you know?
You know what? I
She's a
realized part
moons
of what her problem was.
Uh-huh.
It was that terrible wig.
It was a bad wig. You could see her hair underneath it, like, at a lot of
Right.
angles, and I'm like, "Wait, you didn't even tuck in your black hair? I mean, like, come on, man."
Just didn't
Uh,
look. It looked really fake.
it did. It did.
It
They
just
coulda
looked really fake.
Yeah, they could've, like she coulda dyed her hair. I'm sure you could
It,
just dye your hair silver, and that would've
and
been
just
good
add some
enough.
tracks to it or something. I,
Yeah, yeah.
but then it made me wonder what was were they starting to get over budget? Because I mean, you
Maybe.
have to have a lot of CGI for this kind of movie,
Yeah,
and maybe costumes gonna hurt or makeup's gonna
maybe.
be. But I thought I don't know. Maybe because I mean, Katara's pretty cute, but the rest of the girls, eh, like Azula's character, average at best.
Mhm. Yeah.
And her two friends, I forgot their names because I know they're
Yeah.
prominent in the cartoon too.
Oh, what are their names? Damn.
I uh,
Yeah, I don't remember. I'll have to look that up. I totally forget their names.
yeah,
But I know that the one of them is a, what do they call that? A chi blocker.
yeah. Doesn't
The
she fall in love with Kasaka?
oh, no, 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 it's not Sokka, it's the emo one falls in love with Zuko.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, 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 yeah. The sort of goth one falls in
Yeah.
love with Zuko. Yeah. Yep.
But,
But
I
the
mean,
other one is the chi blocker, so she knows how to punch you and then take away your bending ability.
nice.
Yeah,
Hopefully, they incorporate all of that into the show too, because
I hope
now that
so.
we've got a lightning zapping uh,
We need some
fire
metal
lord now,
bending. Yeah, we
we
need some
definitely
metal
need some metal
bending.
bending.
Yep,
But that would
yep.
be Boomy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Toph is the first one to learn to metal bend.
I thought Boomy did it first.
No, Toph does it because she gets captured by the Fire Nation. They put her in a metal box in order to keep her
Oh,
from
right,
earth
right.
bending. Yeah, and then she uses her like sonar to
Uh oh,
see that there's a what's that? Are you good?
I'm
Hello?
getting some interference here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Is it me or is it you?
Well,
Who knows?
it's you, but it's probably my connection.
Oh, okay. It might be me too. So I'm sorry if that's chopping up here. Um, but okay. So last few episodes, episode 6 is the masks. Oh no, we already talked about that. That's the spirit, and then we have the North and Legends, which are basically the Northern Water Tribe storyline. I thought that was
Right.
fine. It was I
Yeah.
mean, like, I've seen that so many times that I was actually a little bit uninterested in it because I know what's gonna happen. Um,
Right.
but I thought the
I was
CGI
thinking
for
about the other.
huh?
It just brought me back to the Avatar movie.
Yeah, it did. Me too. I thought about that too. And I thought to myself, "Oh, man, book 2 will be so much better when I don't have to think about the Shyamalan, movie
I
anymore."
was, and I was just thinking, when's M Night Shyamalan gonna come out and start throwing fireballs at people?
Right. I did like the ocean spirit. I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the water kaiju. Um, there wasn't a whole lot more about that. I did like some of the moments with Aang and Zuko as well. I think the Zuko storyline was really good. Actually, it's probably my favorite so far.
Hmm.
Seeing his background and then the Agni Kai with his father was one of my favorite scenes. I think that was really good. Um,
Yeah.
and
Again, for me, the
uh,
fight choreography is just. eh,
I think the Agni Kai between Zuko and Ozai was actually one of the better ones.
I'm
Um,
not even gonna disagree with you. It's just the overall for me.
I know. You know what I was gonna say to supplement to add on to that? I think what it is for me is I think the fire bending and the earth bending look great, but I think the water bending and the air bending look hokey. And that's a problem. Because when Katara was fighting the master in the north, it was so stupid looking. It didn't even look like they were fighting. It looked like they were kind of just doing stuff around each other. And I was like, I don't know. Waterbending feels kind of lame to me.
You know what? Water bending is I mean, all the bending is absolutely deadlier
Yeah,
than
it is.
earth bending. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Earth bending is
It's true.
probably it has its deadliness to it, but could you imagine being an airbender and just sucking the air right out of somebody's lungs until they die?
Right. Yes.
There's no fight if
Yeah.
you can't breathe. You're not bending nothing,
I would love to see some brutality like that. I would love to see
man.
that. Yeah, that would be
And
great.
I was watching the Katara and Zuko fight, and I was like, you know, if she wouldn't have turned it into ice and she would have just let it stay water floating around him, he never would have got out of that.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been, even if he would have heated up the water, he wouldn't have been able to heat it up enough. As long as she kept it flowing around him, it would never have heated up enough for him to get a flame.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. And also one more thing about the water bending, why it's stupid. And this was really exhibited in the fight between Katara and the water master. She slaps him in the head with a thing of water and his hair doesn't even get wet. What is going on? Why does water bending not get you wet? I don't
Why, why,
understand.
why does fire bending not burn their clothes?
I mean, some of it sometimes it does. It doesn't if
Only
you're a
when it feeds the
firebender.
story.
Only when it's not a firebender. So, like,
Right.
firebenders seem to have some sort of, I don't know, imperviousness to fire. So I guess waterbenders don't
Teflon
get wet.
armor.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that waterbenders don't get wet when you splash them?
No, of course
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
Because
There.
they can just redirect it into an attack back at you.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
But think
All
about
right.
this at the very end when Cuckoo dropped the flag over Omashu,
Mhm.
did you see that it was right in the flame?
What's that?
Did you notice that the banner was right in the flame and didn't burn?
Oh, I didn't notice that. Huh. What are they doing? What kind of fabric are they using over there in
I
the
have
Fire
no
Nation?
Teflon.
Teflon, everything is
I don't know.
Kevlar woven fabric. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we can't call it rabies this time.
No. That's for sure. Oh man. Well, I do say that this makes me pretty hopeful for book 2. I think book 2 is where it really hits its stride. I will say if this continues, you got to go with 10 episodes. You can't do 8 episodes. Um
You know what?
mm,
I would be okay with it either way,
yeah.
8 or 10. I just want them to do a good job. I
I
enjoyed
do
it.
too.
I
I do
honestly
too.
I enjoyed this entire series.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to a book two. I don't know if they'll make a book two because the reception of it just seems to be so mid from everybody.
And that's disappointing because there's been so much I mean, like, our channel is a testament to what is terrible on streaming, and I cannot put this in the ballpark of the things that we've watched. Like, that's just insane to me. Yeah, I
I
think I
agree.
think I think we've hit this critical mass with a lot of the critiquing stuff, and this is why I enjoyed this series because it's something that we can actually say that we liked. Because like so much of the time, I think people are sort of training themselves to say that everything is terrible, but no, I think we should recognize when certain things are better than others, and I would say that this is much better than a lot of the stuff that's come out. Even some of the
Are we back to the
franchise
South Park episode?
yeah, even some of the franchises that have come out on TV. I mean, look at the way that The Witcher ended or um
I refuse.
right, yeah, a lot of people do. Um
I was
but
into it. I
yeah,
was into it. I saw the first season and I enjoyed. They did a decent job, and then it was just like
yeah, right. That's how they
after
hook you, right?
season one, it just fell off completely.
Well, let's hope that they
Uh-oh.
don't do the bait and switch. I know. I think you're roboting or I am. One of us is. But my connection is good, so hopefully it's just Mike. Um Yeah, I think that I hope they don't do the bait and switch, and I hope that the second book is strong, and we have something
Fair,
to.
more than likely, it's my connection.
Oh yeah, that's okay. No worries. It'll probably clear up in a sec. I hope that book 2 is good. I hope that we have another thing to say that we liked. Yeah, I think people can be critical of it, but again, I can go watch the animated series for all of the deeper stuff, um, and the smaller
Mhm.
characters and the smaller moments. This is completely serviceable. I mean, again, I was surprised with how much they kept in
Right.
live action. So I just for reference for everybody, I have the list of episodes for the animation. And the animation in book 1, we have see the boy in the iceberg, the Avatar Returns, which is basically episode 1. Then you have the Southern Air Temple, which is episode 2. Then you have the Kyoshi Warriors, which is episode 2 or yeah, 2. So I guess episode 1 was all the way up until the Southern Air Temple. And then
Mhm.
episode 2 is the Kyoshi Warriors. Episode 3 is a King of Omashu. And then you have Imprisoned. That was all in the Omashu storyline. Then you have the Winter
Mhm.
Solstice Part 1 and 2, which is the World episode. Then you have the water bending scroll, which isn't in the show, but they talk about the water bending scroll. You have
Mhm.
Jet, which is its whole episode. What I mean, like I don't like Jet as a character, so I was fine that he was just a throwaway character.
I'm
Um,
glad it didn't go on as long as it did in the cartoon.
yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't really like Jet's character at all. Then you have the Great Divide, which is what I was talking about with the two camps that have to cross like a canyon or whatever. And you have the
Mhm.
storm, you have the blue spirit, which was the masks episode, the
Mhm.
fortune teller, which is a filler episode, um, Bateau of the Water Tribe. It's not in here. The Deserter is not in here. Then you have the Northern Air Temple, which gets taken care of in episode 3 with the Mechanist. And
Mhm.
then you have the Water Bending Master and the Siege of the North Part 1 and 2, which is episode 7 and 8.
Right.
So, I mean, they've only really cut out, I think, 2 episodes, maybe 3 of the
Well,
animated
isn't
series.
the animated like isn't book one like 20 episodes though?
I just read all of book 1. It's not 20 episodes. It's
I thought it was more than
4,
that.
5, 6,
Oh
9, 10,
well.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, it is 20. It's 20. Yeah, 20 episodes exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess they could have if they wanted to make it a 10 episode season and you'd cover everything. But I think they cut out stuff that was smart to cut out. One of
Right.
the episodes is just literally a filler episode where they go to a fortune teller. So, um,
I think if they didn't want to, if they, I think because they wanted to keep Jet in is only just to have him push her to thinking about her mother in a positive way,
yes.
which they could have just gave to Sokka, but whatever.
Well, Jet comes back in book 2, so he's gonna have
Right.
to be introduced anyways, and I think they did a fine job just doing that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think with a lot was cut, man. I mean, they could have added a little bit more, but I think they did a pretty darn good job with what they had. And an adaptation, I mean, goodness. We talk about way things get adapted. It's like, we talk about the sort of the pinnacle is Game of Thrones in its early seasons, but then we saw what happened to it afterwards. So, um, I don't
Oh
think it's
man.
as bad. I don't think it's as bad as the end of the end of the run of Game of Thrones. That's for sure.
I mean, we're never mind.
And don't even get me
Right.
started on Game of Thrones. I totally forgot about
Right.
it. I've erased it from my memory.
Right.
Um, yeah. All right, man. Well,
Gotta get
anything else you wanted to add?
uh no man, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Wanna
All
do
right.
some
Well,
ratings?
let's do some ratings. Let's hear what you have to say. Final thoughts and ratings, Mike.
Um I'm honestly, this is probably one of the highest ratings I've ever given. I think I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right.
Because
Nice.
I just enjoyed it based off everything we've discussed already. I don't really need to go into any details about it. I really enjoyed the entire series.
Mhm.
I enjoyed the fact that they cut some stuff out and they left some stuff in without having to go into the details of that. Um,
Yep.
I agree with you on the face stealer. They could have went into a little more detail of that, but
Yeah,
overall wasn't terrible. It moved the story along nicely.
yeah.
Yeah, 7, solid.
Right on. Yeah, I have mine written as a 7.5. So we're pretty close on that. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was decent. Again, I love the animated series, but I think that this is it's a decent adaptation. And
Yeah,
of course you can't have everything and you're not going to have like the exact character dynamics. Do I think that Aang needs to be a little bit more light? Yes. But for all things considered, I didn't think that I was gonna like, Iroh and Zuko, and I ended up thinking that they were my favorite characters, so I think they did a pretty
well, that's
good job
because
in that regard.
Iroh's generally just a good dude as a character,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Zuko's a dick, but you kind of understand why. Well,
Yeah.
you come to understand why, and
Yes.
then when you realize Iroh was really just his father figure
Mhm.
that he never really experienced, and it
Yep.
kind of balancing out his fugazi behavior and
Right,
makes it all
yeah.
make sense.
Yes, and I really
So, I
do
mean,
appreciate there was, one moment, and I think the masks at the end of the masks, I appreciate that, Iroh talks to Commander G about what, Zuko knows about sacrifice, because when he was exiled and this is something that the I believe they just made up in this, like, this is a creative liberty, this isn't in the story, that, he stands up to his father about sacrificing that platoon, and that's why he
mhm,
gets to the Agni Kai and he gets exiled, and his father tells him to take the people that he was trying to save. So, like, those people that resented him on his ship were actually saved because he was exiled.
right.
I think that's a really good way of, like, coloring a character. I thought that was
Yeah,
really well done. So,
I did too.
um,
I even
yeah,
talked about that, and I was like, now now they realize what he did when they weren't around and why he
yeah,
is the way he is, and
yeah,
it gives them a better understanding of his character and the
mhm,
way they introduced it through Iroh. Because he's just an all around solid dude. I mean,
yeah,
he's done what he's done in his past for sure. He was an absolute beast, but losing his son turned him completely around,
yeah, yeah.
and he becomes a all around just a solid dude. You think they're gonna explore the secret organization in book 2 and 3?
Oh, the White Lotus?
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope so. That would be great. I would love that. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I just
the
thought
Order
about
of the
that.
White Lotus. Yeah, I think that that would be very cool because they have the Pai Sho piece that he leaves for, Zuko in this,
Mm.
when he gets captured, so I think that's an Easter egg at the White Lotus organization. Yeah.
Oh, is that? I thought that was a. I didn't know that's what that was. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, it was the White
I
Lotus
thought that
piece.
was a coin.
Yeah, it was a Pai Sho piece, and uh, that's how they identify each other within the organization, is
Right,
they give each other that piece.
because I
So,
don't know what Pai
uh,
Sho is.
yeah, I think it's like I don't either. I think it's a game from China, I believe. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so I think this is pretty good start. I look forward to book 2, and one more shout out I'd like to give: the wardrobe people are the real stars of this. I think um, I really am impressed by the people who made all of the clothing and all of the armor. It all looks very good. It's all professional. It's brought right from the animation to real life, and I think they did a stellar job with that.
Man, none of it burns and none of it gets wet.
Exactly. It's impervious. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that leaves us at about a 7.25 with Mike 7 and my 7.5 averages out to a 7.25, which is very respectable. It's a strong start. I think that I again, yeah, I look forward to book 2. So hopefully you guys also look forward to it. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Do you think that it's worth a 7.25? Do you think we overshot or undershot it? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Please give us a thumbs up and a subscription. We are trying to break out of this YouTube prison that they've put us in for having we got punished for having a popular episode and got flagged as being a spam channel, and so now we are barely reaching anybody. So if this does reach your ears, we would really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription. We're trying to dig ourselves out of this hole, and we can't do
Send
it
us a
without you.
hello.
Yeah, something. Just because we got to get YouTube to be convinced that we're not a spam channel for some reason, I
Right.
guess. Um, yeah, well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful evening or whenever you're checking this out. We really appreciate all of you out there. I think we're going to wrap it up here. So thank you again. And for Screen Time Continuum, my name is Nick.
And I might
Good night.
have a good night. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment.
Please.
Tell us a hello, good morning, good evening.
Good afternoon,
Tell us
good
to go
evening,
F
and good night.
ourselves.